Hi guys, Mr. Hill here with your English lesson for today. Our previous lesson, we went through our model text and we picked out some key vocabulary that will help us along the way. Today, we're going to look at the key features. So I want you to have that thought in your head. So like when we're in class, we do the toolkit. That's what we're building today. So let's get started. Hear and listen well, my weary warriors, and I will tell you a tale that has been told for thousands of years and more. In ages past, Denmark was a wild place. Gruesome monsters roamed the misty moors. The king of the Danes, the warrior King Hrothgar, defeated many a foe, collecting riches and followers alike. He was known as a generous and fair king. He ordered work on a great mead hall to house all his bannermen. Soon there it stood, Herot, made of the finest wood, decorated with silver and gold. Each night the king invited his bravest warriors to a lavish feast of roasted meat, jugs of frothing ale, and music for dancing feet. Inside, the men ate and drank until they fell asleep. But outside, something evil was rising. Okay, I'm just going to pause here. What I want you to do, have a look through this text. What features can you find in here? Take a moment, pause the video, give us a really good look, and press play when you're ready to carry on. Okay, how did we get on? What did we find? First thing I'm going to show you is the tone. This is like telling a story to your friends. Imagine you all huddled around when we can be huddled around, or in the classroom, or in the playground. Come here, listen to this. I've got a really amazing story to tell you. That's what this introduction's doing. So it's hear and listen well, my weary warriors, and I will tell you a tale that has been told for thousands of years and more. So if we take it like that, it's about telling your friends the story. So come here, listen to this. You're not going to believe the story I've got to tell you. It's thousands of years old. So we'll move on. The rule of three: roasted meat, jugs of frothing ale, and music for dancing feet. So we're using it to set a scene here, for describing the scene. The idea of a feast, you imagine tables full of amazing pieces of meat. So there might be beef, there might be lamb, there might be chicken and turkey, all sorts of amazing meats sitting there waiting to be eaten. Jugs of frothing ale. So what was one of our pieces of vocabulary from last lesson? Frothing. So it's full of bubbles all sat at the top. I think I described it as like a can of Coke. When you just poured it into a glass, you can see all the bubbles fizzling away at the top. And music for dancing feet. So it gives you the idea of the atmosphere. There's music, so there'll be dancing, there'll be jollity. It's all about having fun. So the next thing we're going to look at, the use of brackets here. Gives us our additional information. So we've got this amazing description. So each night the king invited his bravest warriors to a lavish feast of roasted meat, jugs of frothing ale, and music for dancing feet. Inside, the men ate and drank until they fell asleep. And then we come to our brackets, and it just gives us the hint of something. But outside, something evil was rising. So it shows you what's going on inside and outside. So we've got the description inside, the men eating and drinking until they were so tired they fell asleep, or so full of food. I don't know whether you've done it where you've had a huge meal, maybe at Christmas Day. You've eaten so much, all you want to do is just sit down and just go, and have a relax. So we've got that idea. And then outside, something evil was rising. So something's coming alive. It's waking up to come and take some terrible revenge. Move on to the next section of our story. Across the moor, a foul monster from its swamp lair, the almost formless creature of nightmare, slunk from its lair, howling in rage, as its slumber had been disturbed by the revel makers. Silently, the god-cursed brute crept into Herot, waiting till the warrior king had left his hall. In the dead of night, Grendel attacked like a sudden storm, leaving the hall in disarray. No bodies remained, only the life essence of their passing. Grendel ruled the night, and the great Herot stood empty for 12 winters. News of this dreadful tragedy spread far and wide to all the princes of different lands. But only one of them, the greatest and bravest, Beowulf, decided this night terror must be stopped. Aboard a seaworthy ship, he sailed the whale road to Denmark with 14 hand-picked warriors. When Beowulf arrived, sudden hope warmed the old king's heart. Together, they feasted until night fell. So I'm going to pause here and we're going to have a look at what we've written. So we've been given the hint at the end of the last paragraph that something evil was rising. We now have the description coming in. So across the moor, a foul monster crawled from its swamp lair. So we've got a prepositional phrase in there. It shows us where they are in the setting. So we've got the idea of the great mead hall in one place. There's a moor nearby. And then on the other side of that moor, this foul monster's been woken from its sleep. So again, we've got a hint of the unknown, or a hint at the unknown. We had this in our adventure story when we were writing tales around the Jungle Book. So got a hint. It lets your readers paint their own imagination, or their own imaginary picture. What's this monster look like? Is it tall? Is it dark? Does it have big claws and sharp teeth? Is it something small and violent looking? We don't know. So this hint at the unknown just gives you a little bit, and you start filling in the blanks with your own imagination. An adverbial starter here. So in the dead of night. So it's used to show the passage of time. So we know the revel makers, there you go, another kenning slipped in there for you guys. So the revel makers were there partying away until the night, until they were so tired they fell asleep. So the dead of night, when night's quiet, everyone's asleep. So it shows the passage of time. It shows that time's going on. So Grendel's woken. He's crept across and he's now coming towards it. So hyphens we've got there showing Beowulf uses to add detail to the sentence. So we could have, if you go back to this sentence here, so but only one of them decided this night terror must be stopped. So we could just leave it like that. We don't need to tell you who it is. It could be another hint at the unknown. We've used the extra information to give you the idea there's a hero coming. So, but only one of them. We've got a comma. The greatest and bravest. And then with the hyphens, you get the name Beowulf. Decided this night terror must be stopped. So it gives you a little bit of extra detail. It gives you our hero's name. The next part of our story coming up now. As darkness swallowed light, the swamp bubbled and Grendel rose, grisly, grim and gruesome. No one word could describe this brute. Beowulf crouched in the shadows, his steely eyes fixed on the murdering monster. Without a weapon, Beowulf pounced, grasping the monster's arm. Grendel writhed and thrashed, but Beowulf would not let go. Grendel swiped and slashed, but Beowulf would not let go. The hall shuddered, benches shattered, but still Beowulf refused to let go. He tugged the monster's arm and tore it from its body. Roaring in pain, the monster smashed through the walls and charged into the night, staggering across the moor. Beowulf stood holding the monster's arm. He knew there was no way the beast would survive such a mortal wound, its life ebbing away, drop by drop. Grendel was defeated. Okay, I'm going to pause our story here. What I want you to do, have a look at what we've got in here. Is there anything that you can spot that we've used before? Just keep these ideas in your mind. Just so I'm going to pause, have a look. Okay, let's go through. Metaphor here. As darkness swallowed light. It's used to describe a change in time. So it's the time as night becomes, or day becomes night rather. So it's the idea that the darkness is a creature, it's something there that can eat the light. So we've got short sentences as well that give us impact. The hall shuddered, benches shattered, but still Beowulf refused to let go. So those three short sentences there, they help build the tension in the story as well. Something we used in our adventure text again. So the tricks that we've used already this year, they're coming back. We're starting to use them again and again in different formats and in different settings. We've also got repetition here as well. So we're using the rule of three to make the reader understand the importance. So we'll go back. Without a weapon, Beowulf pounced, grasping the monster's arm. Grendel writhed and thrashed, but Beowulf would not let go. There's one. Grendel swiped and slashed, but Beowulf would not let go. That's two. The hall shuddered, benches shattered, but still Beowulf refused to let go. There's our three. So we've repeated that bit three times. So it's really important that the reader understands Beowulf's not going to let go. He's holding on. He's making his mark. So a semicolon we've got for two closely linked independent clauses. Beowulf stood holding the monster's arm. That's one of the clauses. He knew there was no way the beast would survive such a mortal wound, its life ebbing away drop by drop. So they're really closely put together, and it gives you the impression that Beowulf is standing there, holding this monster's arm in his hand, watching as it's crept away, smashed through the walls, charged into the night, and staggered across the moor. You almost got the idea that Beowulf's standing there, as I said, holding his arm, watching Grendel escaping across the moors, knowing that this is a mortal wound, that this wound will kill Grendel. Here we come to the last part of our story. By the next morning, the news of the great fight at Heorot had spread throughout the land, so that everybody should know that the tyrant was truly dead, and their grief finally at an end. The hero hung high in the gables of Heorot, where all could see that whole torn off limb, gruesome witness to the monster's violent end. So we'll go through this last piece and we'll pick out some more bits we can add into our toolkit. So we've got additional information. So they go between the two commas. The hero hung high in the gables of Heorot, where all could see that whole torn off limb. We could take that piece out, and the hero hung high in the gables of Heorot, that whole torn off limb, still makes sense as a sentence on its own. That additional information, it's there where all could see. It's almost as if Beowulf is saying, here we go. This is what happens when you come and do something to us. We'll fight you, we'll beat you, and we'll take something. It's almost a trophy. So if you think about football clubs winning football trophies, they put them in a cabinet on the wall. It's a very similar idea here. It gives you that idea that this is a trophy of the battle. So we've got our toolkit. So we've got our hint at the unknown. It lets the readers paint their own picture in their imagination. We've got the tone. So we went right back to the beginning. Get the idea they're sat round with a drink, talking. Maybe it's like you guys do, sit talking at lunch, telling stories of what's been going on, maybe on a Monday lunchtime, telling stories of your weekend. That's the atmosphere that it's building there. The prepositional phrase shows you where we are in the setting. And we've got the adverbial starter using to show the passage of time. We've got the idea of what's going on outside and what's going on inside to show us the difference. We were talking about the merrymaking inside the mead hall. They're partying, they're having fun. Outside, there's something dangerous coming. The idea that inside is safe and warm and happy, outside is cold and dark and dangerous. Use of brackets to give additional information. Repetition, the rule of three. We've done a lot of work with the rule of three in our various bits of writing. It gives the importance across to your reader. So here's our toolkit. Pause the video here, take down the ideas you want. So the bits that you're going to use, and then we'll move on and we'll introduce the task for today's lesson. Okay, got your ideas written down? Okay, here we go. We're going to move on. I'm going to show you our task for today. It's a short write today. and write a 5-sentence story. And your story must include a monster, a map, and a toy sword. You've got 5-sentence starters down below. Once upon a time, one day, unfortunately, luckily, finally. See if you can use some of the features from this lesson. So you might want to just go back a few seconds, have the toolkit up in front of you. Can you use some of those ideas to create your 5-sentence story? You could have a simple thing. Once upon a time, in a warm house, there was a boy. One day, he found a map and a toy sword. Unfortunately, outside it was raining. Luckily, the map, so that's the idea. We get some of the bits brought in, the toolkit uses it from the toolkit and used to build our story. Have a go. I'm really looking forward to seeing what you can put together on Tapestry for me. And I'll see you tomorrow for our next English lesson. Take care, everybody. Stay safe.